Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been open now, going on 13 years as of August of this year, 2024, and we assist companies in consultation, manufacturing, quality manufacturing, and also ISO certification in all derivatives. My background is aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with just about every industry under the sun. This video goes out to United Airlines, its management, personnel, and those who fly on these aircraft. I want to tell you this and be forward with you that in 2009, the FAA gave regulatory authority to Boeing. So for 15 years, Boeing has been designing, manufacturing, or building, manufacturing, whatever, flying, and signing off while the FAA initials it, because they're both regulatory agencies. You will find out. You will find out the accreditation body that's an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware, which is a repository for all international and national accreditation bodies throughout the world, is an underwriter for the IAF incorporated in Delaware, International Accreditation Forum. They are also underwriters for the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation over there in Australia that handles laboratory accreditation. Boeing handed over authority of their source inspection to an ANSI, ANAB accredited company. You'll see it in their supplier portal. I don't make this up. Their quality certificate is failed and failed miserably, and they will tell you, no, we certify the system, by them being an underwriter, ladies and gentlemen, for the International Accreditation Forum and the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, which the acronym is actually, under our vantage point, IAF. IAF is it always fails. And ILAC is laboratory accreditation credible? You'll find out that it is not. You find out at Boeing it is not. But they gave in 2002 authority to those companies that are ANAB accredited out there. Just send us your paperwork, your certification, and you can send us your parts. And we don't, as Boeing, have to send any representatives in to take a look at your facility. So most of these places are like 2 steps above a dirt floor, as my dear friend Bob would say. 2 steps above a dirt floor. This video today is about quality expert Daryl Guberman alerts United Airlines, its management, personnel, about Boeing being an FAA regulator 2009 to present, and here we go. This may be about 10 minutes long, but it's well worth it. If you're flying on United, you know what they say now. If it's Boeing, don't get going. And if you bought an aircraft United between 2002 and present from Boeing, you better tell them to give you a new one and tell them to have FAA regulation, because they're a FAA regulator. Let's continue. You have the American National Standards Institute, which is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental organization, corporation, that has both federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2015, Randy Doherty, the Vice President of ANAP, the Chairman of the IAF, and also the Principal on the IF 990 tax form, handed over leadership to the IAF to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Zhenwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994. At this time, he was also the Chief Executive of the China National Accreditation Services out of Beijing, China. Also, he is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, which mandates espionage. He is seen here over in 2017 in Wuhan, China, the BioLevel 4 lab, which definitely released the COVID virus, and that was confessed to by a Miss Pamela Sale, who at the time was giving a formal deposition, legal deposition down in Texas, who said from one laboratory to another, there are variances, they lack protocols. So she definitely attested to the COVID virus being released, okay? Now remember this, ANSI and ANAB are underwriters, so who do you take to task but them? They used to say that the system, we only certify the system. But you will find out once you become an underwriter, you take more on than the system. In 2016, Randy invited me to join either the ANAB or IAF or both. But how can I, in good conscience, join it when you had a cybersecurity issue going on? In 2017, Randy sat on the DHS website, Department of Homeland Security, being advertised as the vice president of ANAB, and to get in touch with them for any sort of specialized certification that they were advertising at that time, a private concern on a federal agency. At the time, too, they had a Phil Matheson, who's the director of quality specialist on the DHS, who was making $262,000, not taxed because it was a royalty payment. Because of my hammering at it, they took Randy down, and they also changed on their 990 tax form royalty payment to various payments. And here's special guest to Xi Jinping of China. Look, he's telling you about the China National Intelligence Law Article number 7. We have ANAB sitting on the board of ANSI. And we also have the factor that ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. Sitting on the IF at the time is, of course, ANSI and ANAB. They were sitting by by China. From 2015 to 2021, you had China watching over them, directing them, enhancing them, and probably hacking those federal agencies and corporations that sat in there. And we do have documentation showing in those years about the DHS getting hacked, FBI, CDC, NIH, everything got hacked by China. The most disgusting thing is in sitting on the IAF, right over by ANSI, ANAB, an American company, is both Iran and Pakistan, who are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI, ANAB. They are IF MLAs, which are multilateral agreement organizations, or multi-regional agreement organizations. They happen to be an MLA. You have Pakistan, who harbored Osama bin Laden. You have this guy, Khomeini, who wants the destruction of the United States. And you have them sitting very close to this organization, ANSI, ANAB. So can we say, by Iran financing Hamas, can we say that possibly the management of ANSI and ANAB condone the situation that's going on in the Middle East? Never can tell, can you? They have over 10 different registrars in China that can issue an ANAB accredited certification. On top of that, this is a document that they no longer have on their webpage, this company, that says that ANSI, ANAB are underwriters for the IAF. So what we did is we dug a little bit deeper, and we found several solicitations. This one was a surprise, this one over here. The State Department, they put out a standard operating work order, and we have it right over here, in 2018, when China was still watching over the IAF. It states, ANSI ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum, IAF, which means that the State Department allowed Communist China to come into their hallways via ANSI ANAB because ANSI ANAB are IAF representatives. Isn't that tender? And this is what an underwriter does. Underwriter is any party that evaluates and assumes another party's risk for a fee. So what happens is, by ANSI ANAB being an underwriter, okay, it used to be we only recognize the system, certify the system. By them being an underwriter, that means they take full legal responsibility for those products that are being manufactured in that. And you know what? You're going to have a lawyer say, "Oh, you're incorrect." You know why? Because the American Bar Association, those jokers, are working together like this. Standards, this, that, the other thing. Also, they have the DOJ and FBI on board. And Christopher Wray, let me tell you something, United. He says, we have to maintain vigilance against China. Yet, the FBI between 2015 and 21 sat on ANSI's board, and ANSI ANAB sat on the IAF. So he's full of, don't worry about it. He's full of it, though. Now we come upon Boeing. Boeing is a breed. Because you have Mr. Calhoun, who when the Alaskan Air popped its cork over there, did a champagne pop. I know it's New Year's, but the door popped off rather than having it popped off champagne bottle at Alaskan Air. He said, during an interview, he said that our regulator, the FAA, hold on a sec, ladies and gentlemen, our regulator, right? The FAA. Who sits on ANSI's board? Oh, Boeing. Who else sits on ANSI's board? The FAA. FAA. So you have two regulators. You're going to see it right now. I'm going to show it to you. But first, let me show you their portal. This is their supplier portal. Its state must be ANSI, ANAP, or internationally equivalent. So basically, you're going to see, and I'm going to keep this out when I show this document to you, which is coming right up. They basically gave authority to ANSI, ANAP as an inspection organization as well, because when you have a supplier, that all you have to do as that supplier, send in their quality certificate, an AS9100 cert, ANSI accredited. That means ANSI, ANAP accredited company takes a responsibility of quality off of Boeing, and Boeing doesn't have to send in any more source inspectors. They did the same thing with NADCAP, special processes, which is for prime, paint, radiography, non-destructive testing, etc., welding, and here it is. This was put out in 2002 by Boeing. Okay, this is a supplier memo that states that if you are AS9100, they don't really, well, let me read it to you. I'm going to change survey. I'm going to put survey/audit because that's basically what it is. An on-site Boeing survey/audit of the supplier's quality system if need be. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to do on-site system audits. Well, basically what they did is they take an AS9100 certificate like this. They take this, hand it into Boeing. Boeing checks it off, says, hey, XYZ machine shop, send us your parts. We don't have to send any inspection. That's number one. And here on the supplier portal, look what it does. It calls out ANSI, ANAP. There is no competitors, okay? My company is a competitor to them, okay? Yes, we're small, but we're small and we're good at what we do. These guys, they're big and you can, I don't need to show you, but we're going to show you. This was an article that came out at AV Web in 2009. And I will read the first sentence. It states, the FAA increased authority of Boeing's commercial airplanes division to self-certify its own aircraft. That means they gave regulatory authority to Boeing. So here you go again. And by the way, all of this is going to be in the description. You have Boeing and Boeing. So when David Calhoun talks about regulatory authority, that Boeing is going to inspect the planes 100%, well, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If Boeing was the regulatory authority, and like the FAA, why wasn't 100% inspection done on site rather than have their brother of a regulatory authority now do it? It is inconsistent. It is a conundrum. And by the way, this is not the first issue with Boeing. They were caught fudging documentation on their airlines along with their steel supplier, Kobe Steel. What is that telling you? Just recently, several weeks ago, a V-22 Osprey, a Bell Boeing Osprey went down, V-22, killing everybody on board. They also found and fined, I think the DOJ fined the composite facility that manufactures composite components for the V-20 Bell Boeing V-22. Fined him $8.1 million. And I'm a composites guy. That's my background as well. Composites, non-ferrous metals, titanium, aluminum alloys. And I have to tell you a fact of the matter is that with composites, we take, let's say, a piece of fiberglass impregnated with resin, and you have plies, each ply to make a one solid component. It's time, temperature, and pressure. I understand that they were fudging documentation like they normally do, as you see in those documents, and they got fined. Now, and the worst thing is they got, from 2007 to 2018, they were doing this. This is disgusting. Under the banner of ANSI, ANAP, and I say ANSI, ANAP, whether it's UKAS in England, Accredia in Italy, and other accreditation bodies, it's basically, it is ANSI, ANAP because they take full responsibility of the accreditation of those companies because they are an underwriter. I have a letter from Randy Doherty that said that an IFMLA or MRA is equivalent in accreditation to ANAP. So when I say UKAS in England, when I say Accredia, another accreditation body that's an IF in Italy, they are equivalent. They are the ANSI, ANAP. The last thing I'm going to bring up is the factor that most recently they said that the FAA And the Department of, actually the National Transportation Safety Board is going to go into Boeing to investigate. So by the way, the National Transportation Safety Board is part of the Department of Transportation that sits on ANSI's board, right over by the FAA and right over by Boeing, who is an FAA regulator. You find anything wrong with that? Those that fly on United, be careful. And because you know something? These are the words that guys like David Calhoun uses, obfuscation, ANSI, ANAP, IF, and ILAC, their management use. And it's basically the action of making something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible. And this goes to the Boeing staff that's behind me and also the management board, the board of directors. The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. David Foster Wallace. The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. I thank you.